Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk. Me and the Dazzler back on your screens. Premier League preview, beat the Bookie, Carabao Cup, Europa League. We're going to talk about a potential ruling coming out on this Man City arbitration, which should be interesting, could rock the foundations of the Premier League. I'm going to talk about the Premier League as well. Spent a fortune last year in legal disputes. Amongst other things. What else have I got for us? Going to take a look at the impact of Rodri and Odegaard being out injured and how that's going to affect both teams and how we feel that's going to flush out. And of course, we're going to mention one, Raphael Varane, who retired this week as well. I'm sure Darren will have plenty to say on Raphael Varane. Absolutely superb player, one of his best in his generation, as they say. Right, how are you, my friend?
Not too bad, brother. Hanging in there, you know yourself.
Good. We've got quite a stacked chat already as well. Chat is in the ocean as well. Yes, good bit of chatting there already. We'll go through that. Don't forget as well, folks.
A bit of chat, huh?
Yeah, don't forget, last night as well, we had a great interview with William Tyrrell, Chief Scout for Norwich City here in Ireland, and also League of Ireland player. And we had a great interview, me and Marky, with him. He gave us a great insight into coaching, transitioning into scouting and all that kind of stuff and all. So make sure, check that out. Well worth taking a look at. Right, let's get into the chat. First of all, big up Warren. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. 100%. There's in. Good win for Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. Absolutely. City wins court case against Premier League. The arbitration on the what's associated sponsorship stuff, isn't it?
I have a word for it, or I have a phrase for it.
Yeah.
So I'll just search it up here.
Yeah, Joanna's back in as well. Big up Joanne. Jack is in as well.
Associated party transactions.
There you go. That's the one. There we go. Joanne, like and share it. Always appreciate it. Jack, Tranmere plays Salford tomorrow night at home on Sky. Lovely. Better get the win. Don't let us down, Jack. Don't let us down.
That's like a mini East Lancs derby, isn't it?
Absolutely. It would be vital that Tranmere do the business there. Daz is also in as well. What's the crack, Niall and Dazzler? Always in. And our man is in. Sexy man. There we go. Going to be talking as well. I was talking to Morris today about the Vince McMahon documentary. So that's going to be a topic, of course, for us to discuss in our WhatsApp groups and stuff. City win hasn't just been confirmed yet. So it's not one just yet. It isn't, Jack, but some of the talk at the moment about the meeting today with the Premier League teams, there was supposed to be a discussion and a document and a debate in relation to those associated, what did you call it again? Associated?
Party transactions.
And apparently it was whipped off the agenda, taken off. So is that a situation? Is that an indication? That's what people are saying. Right, let's get into our Premier League preview. Let's start. So we start off Newcastle versus Man City. And if there was ever a good time to talk about Rodri, unfortunately being gone for the season, and we know how big of fans me and you are of Rodri. He's our Ballon d'Or guy. He's our Ballon d'Or guy, and he was our Ballon d'Or guy last time. Talk to me.
Yeah, I suppose this will be this is probably a big game for both teams. You know, Newcastle obviously coming off the back of a defeat last weekend away to Fulham, probably didn't go the way they would have expected. And City obviously off the back of the Rodri injury. They'll be looking to try and get some momentum back, obviously from last weekend. Nicking the late draw was huge for them, but they'll definitely need to kick on now this week. But Newcastle isn't an easy place to go. We know that. Eddie Howe and his boys. Obviously that was their first defeat of the season last week, but I don't think it'll be an easy day at the office for City, if I'm honest. I think we might see the first signs of life after Rodri, and I think they might struggle a little bit here, Man City. And I'm actually going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Interesting. Yeah, that midfield will relish that now with Rodri not there. Won't it? Bruno Guimaraes and all. And who knows?
I think so.
Bruno maybe even putting himself into Pep's eye. Who knows? But we shall see. Darren's just popped off there. He's going to come back on, I'd imagine, in a second. But yeah, let's continue on anyway. Let's see what we have here. Joanne. I've lost 5.5 pounds this week at Slimworth. That's massive, Joanne. Fair play. And did you know Paul Merson goes to Slimming World Group? He does, yeah. I heard him mentioning that, all right, Joanne. But Joanne, that's fantastic. 5.5 pounds in a week. That's incredible. Fair play to you.
So that's really good, Joanne. Well done.
Yeah.
Palamoine Derek runs a Slimming World Group, and a couple of years ago, I says to him, "I'll head down, pal, and give it a try," you know. So you've sins, you've delivered in the sins thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I says, yeah, no problem. So I went, got weighed me first week, listened, stayed for the chat and all that, and had all my information. Went home, stayed within me things, came back and on the scales the next week. How much?
Go on.
14 a stone.
You lost
in a week.
That's some going, isn't it?
In a week, and he kept, like, I know Derek years, and he kind of touched the scales as if to say, "Is that right?" And then he says, "Get down off that for a second, will you?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I stood back up on it, and he was like, "That says you are X last week, but this week it says you're Y." And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Is that 14 pounds?" I says, "Yeah, I think so." And I think Rosanna, she lost about 8 in the first week, maybe 9. She might have even gone 9. So, like, between us, we were a stone and a half on week 1. You know?
That's massive.
But they changed our system around all the time as well, because at one stage you could have a banana and it was free because it was fruit, right?
Yeah.
But then if you didn't eat the banana whole, if you put it into something, or if you squashed it, or if you did all of this, it would cost you sins on. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute here.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I read that before. If you mash a banana, it's totally different calorific thing and everything and all, and the makeup of it and all. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was doing, like, smoothies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, bananas free, strawberries free. I'm eating for free.
Lashing them in.
Yeah. And then I was drinking the smoothies and blah, blah. And then all it came back and it was like, oh no, if you stick it into a blender, like, it's 4 sins. I'm like, what? Are you all right? It's no sins if we eat a whole, and if we put it in a blender, it's 4. Hold on a minute, will you?
They were jealous of your 14-pound loss. That's why they were working you.
They were working something.
Absolutely. Just to let you know, folks, 35 minutes gone in the Spurs game against Qarabağ in the Europa. Dragosun was sent off after 8 minutes for a straight red, and Brennan Johnson has scored. Dominic Solanke with the assist. 1-0 to Spurs at the moment on the night.
That's very, very, very close to just changing there. Qarabağ had a chance there. They've actually looked all right, Qarabağ.
They're decent.
They pressed really well up front. They were the team that they just got over the line against Bayer Leverkusen did in the quarterfinals last year. Remember, they got the late winner, which got them through and stuff like that.
That's right, yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Jack saying Donald Trump's ex-lawyer is meant to be taking over Tranmere. Interesting. All these want in on this football now, don't they? Right, yeah. Arsenal versus Leicester.
Yeah, Arsenal versus Leicester. I think Arsenal, obviously, last week after the sending off, it was backs to the wall type thing. It was a really, really tough day at the office for them. I think Leicester, at home, managed to pick up a decent point against Everton. I don't necessarily think these are the games we're going to judge Leicester on, and I would expect Arsenal to make this look quite easy. I think I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think this will be easy enough for them now. Who knows, but it'll be easy enough. Brentford versus West Ham.
Yeah, two teams that really need a win, isn't it? West Ham obviously on the back of a pretty heavy defeat last weekend against Chelsea, and then another heavy defeat midweek in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. So, like, they've shit 8 goals in 2 games. They're not scoring goals. They're in a bad place at the minute, West Ham. I don't know whether, when you change managers, sometimes there's a bedding in period, and it looks like the West Ham lads aren't very fond of how Julian Lopetegui wants them to play. Or the message isn't getting through. Now, I'd seen them in the first couple of games. They looked much better. But the last 2, like Chelsea and Liverpool, they've been absolutely dreadful. Really, really have. Brentford again kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit as the injuries kicked in with Mbeumo and stuff like that. They need a big result this weekend. I kind of see some sort of a boring 1-1 draw, or maybe even maybe a boring 1-1 draw. I think that's where I'll go.
It's certainly one to avoid for any of your beat the bookie picks anyway. That's for sure, because this
sure
could go either way. So how would you even judge this? And West Ham, definitely you're right under Lopetegui as well, and he's doing some very weird things with players as well. Like Jared Bowen playing in a 9 and then switching them back out, and like guys don't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? So
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Joanne's going for 2-0 in the Arsenal game. Daz is going for a 2-2 in the West Ham Brentford game, I would imagine. Chelsea Brighton.
Yeah, I suppose. I watched the Brighton game last weekend, Brighton Forest. I think we were talking about it as we were as the game was on. It was a good game of football. I think they did well to get something out of it in the end. But I think going to Stamford Bridge, I think they could struggle a little bit. I think Chelsea are hitting a nice little vein of form. I think they're starting to get some players playing, and they found a system that they're happy with, that Maresca's happy with, and the message looks like it's getting through and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go Chelsea in 3-1 here.
Yeah, they've I have to say they've certainly surprised me. Now we know they had a collection of talent there.
Yeah, we spoke about it last season quite a lot.
We certainly thought ourselves anyway it would take 8 to 10 games before he found a gelling together and a system of who his first 11 is and what way he wants to play and all. But I have to say they've picked it up pretty quick. Once they got out of that Man City game, and obviously they came a little bit unstuck maybe against Palace and stuff, but when you see the game against Wolves and you see the game against West Ham and stuff like that, really impressive. Really impressive.
They look like a team who are going to be, oh wow, what a miss. Sorry, that should be 1-1. Karabakh getting in down the left-hand side. There's a little overlap, and whoever has the ball just pokes it to the fullback who goes past him. And as he does, he's miles onside. There's a cutback across the area, and the guy is probably on the 6-yard line, the lad in the middle. And it's past Vicario, and he's missed the target. It's a really bad miss. He's got head in hands. He's kind of looking, going, what has happened? It's a really poor miss.
Feels like there's something coming though, yeah?
Yeah, they're building a little bit. Yeah, they've had a couple of... I think, to be honest with you, Tottenham will probably be looking for half-time at this stage with the sending off and having the lead. I think if they could get in a half-time 1-0 and could kind of reset things again and maybe change formation or tactics ever so slightly to counter having the 10 men. Spurs on the attack now, mind you. Just camped here on the edge of the Karabakh box. I think Chelsea have a plethora of talent up front. They really do, and I think they found a lot of guys who they found square pegs. Oh, here we go. Hang on, one more and hit it. Oh God, they're being a little bit wasteful here, Karabakh. Again, they were 4-on-3 at the back with Spurs, and a couple of passes just weren't out in front enough, so guys could move on to them.
In behind,
they were just to feet. And it just slowed the guys' momentum down, and it's going to cost them here, like if they don't get one. But yeah, Chelsea, I think lots going on. I think he's got the square pegs and the square holes. Jackson's doing a really good job for him at the minute. Cole Palmer, you've got Neto obviously wide one side, Madueke on the other, and then you've got Enzo and Moise Caicedo and stuff like that. So yeah. Big up to Maresca for what he's done at the minute. I'm going Chelsea 3-1 at the weekend.
Yeah, no, good shout. Any chance they could crack that top 4?
Absolutely.
Early days, but what you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Like going on, we know what kind of football he liked to play last year under Leicester. They were free flowing. They were a team. They were the championships version of Chelsea are at the minute. So conceded a couple of goals, but scored bags, created chances, moved the ball very quick. Are quite clinical, and if you can do that at Chelsea with the talent they have, I don't see any reason why they can't get top four.
Absolutely. I don't know whether they will Acers or not. I'd say what they'll do is the Premier League will just issue new rulings on it and stuff like that, and it'll flex slightly. But I don't think they're going to open up the dam and the floodgates on it. Not to the point that Newcastle would like, but I think it will change it slightly. But I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be free reign in terms of the values and stuff like that. Daz has gone 3-1 Chelsea, similar to yourself, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everton Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I think this is another big game for lots of teams. Palace obviously. Yeah, Palace got it. I would say Palace got a good draw last weekend at home against United. Dean Henderson, man of the match. Whereas Everton kind of got a draw away from home against Leicester, but Everton are in a much more difficult position, a much stickier position than Palace are in at the minute. I think this is set up for Palace to do a little bit of a hijacking job. And I would expect Eze and Mateta and Ismail Assar and stuff like that to rock up the weekend and to see the Palace's best foot forward. And I'm going Palace and I'm going to go Palace and 2-1.
Palace 2-1. Yeah. It's going to be difficult, isn't it? Surely Everton are going to have to make a change in the international break if that's the case, if not sooner.
I would think so. Think so. I don't think they can hold out too much longer.
Forest versus Fulham.
Excuse me. Two of the teams that obviously got very positive results last weekend. Forest getting a good draw away from home against Brighton, and Fulham really having a huge 3 points at home against Newcastle. I suppose this will be Forest looking to kick on a little bit after their draw, and it'll be Fulham looking to try and add to what happened last weekend. I don't necessarily think this will be as easy for Fulham as last week was. I think Forest are starting to look like quite a well-drilled side under Nuno Spirit. Yeah, under Nuno. Really, I gotta mention him because very, very impressed with the boy Murillo, the centre back, the Brazilian lad.
Man of the match against us.
Yeah, he's been super. He's young, he's athletic, he can pass the ball out really well. He's a real old style centre half. He wants to put his head on everything.
He's a destroyer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not going to last very long at Forest if he keeps up this kind of performances. I've got to say, like you could see him elsewhere. I know possibly ourselves will look for another centre back when Evans and Lindelof leave the building, and then probably Liverpool will be looking for something as well, and maybe Chelsea looking to add. So I think he'll have plenty of options pretty soon, This is an interesting game to watch as well, because we're big fans of the boy Robinson. But it'll be interesting to see how he handles Elanga. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, he's been linked heavily with both of us this week, I think. We know Elanga is a really good footballer, and he's caused a lot of trouble for teams. Newcastle obviously had a big bid on the table for him just before the end of the window, and Forest didn't want to let him go. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I think we might see some sort of a score draw here. It might be more of the same, some sort of a 1-1 maybe.
1-1, yeah. And then the evening one, Wolves versus Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think this is a gimme, if I'm honest. I think, it's not always easy to go to Wolves. They can be dogged and resilient and stuff like that,
The Chelsea result was more of an anomaly than the norm.
Absolutely. And like some days, a team just has one of those days where they hit all their straps and they create all the chances and
everything goes in. Everything
goes in. And the sending off that day obviously made a huge deal. Made a huge difference and stuff. But I think Wolves will get on the score sheet in this. I do. I think Wolves will get on this, and I think Liverpool will be happy to get out of there with a sort of a 2-1 result. I think that'd be a good result for Liverpool. I think just coming away with the 3 points, obviously after the Carabao and stuff like that during the week, and obviously getting back to winning ways last weekend. I think this is this would just be keep the ball rolling for Liverpool, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be very easy. I'll go 2-1 Liverpool, but I think it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, it's an away game that you want to chalk off your calendar as early as possible. Don't you get it out of the way, you know? And obviously they always lift their game, Wolves, especially when top 6 arrive in town as well. So it's always the way how they lift it and stuff like that. I just maybe continue maybe with Diogo Jota going back to his old stomping ground. That might be the one that unhinges things, you know?
Possibly.
Yeah, interesting. Joanna's going for a 3-1 Liverpool win. Morris mentioning the Arsenal lads are doing well at Fulham. Absolutely doing well at Fulham. And that's surprising. We're not surprised that they're doing well, you know, either. So, you know, so.
I think the boy Reece Nelson had a little more to prove than Smith Rowe. I think Smith Rowe, obviously, we seen there was talent there. He was involved in the England squad a couple of times and stuff. The issue was he just carried too many injuries last season for him to build any momentum because of what was ahead of him in the starting 11 and stuff like that. So he's come out to Fulham. Fulham have put big money down on the table to get him and stuff like that. So really, really good to Fulham back the manager and stuff like that. And I think now they'll reap the benefits of it.
He's a tidy player in the pocket, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
he is.
Real tidy and clever.
Ball. He moves with the ball really, really well at his feet and stuff like that. He's got great balance. He has an eye for a pass, but he can also check in and get something off and stuff. I think he's a nice player. I don't think we've seen the last of him at the top table, if I'm honest. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kick on at Fulham and then get a move to a.
He can prove his fitness and stay fit.
Yeah. I think if he proves his fitness and he stays fit, you know, you can certainly see him at the likes of Newcastle or Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which are both steps up from Fulham, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Into Sunday, Ipswich versus Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's going to be Villa for me. I think Ipswich have, you know, they just haven't had the luck so far with the results and stuff like that, and you know the performances they're not terrible, but they're just really, really struggling to get over the line. And Villa are the opposite. Villa probably aren't playing as well as they would like, but have turned into a result machine that they're just picking up a win, going, you know, and it's the sign of a good team. It's the real sign of a good team, and I think Emery knows what he's doing there at Villa, and he has the pouring. I'm going to go Villa 3-1.
Yeah, I was saying to Mark on Monday, that deflected equaliser late in the game last week for them and stuff like that. And I said, if you're a goalkeeper, it's a nightmare. But when you're watching it, it's awesome to see because you have a keeper a full stretch, and then it gets the deflection, and it just takes it away from him and stuff that bit more that you can't get at. So it's cool. Yeah, absolutely. Joanne's going for a 2-1 Ipswich. Interesting.
I don't see it, Joanne.
Be surprised. McKenna, stop playing Smodics on the left. And Daz is going for a 3-0 Villa. There we go. Man United versus Spurs, the Super Sunday.
Super Sunday, I will be there, all things being equal. I know the weather's not great at the minute. There's a couple of boats cancelled today, so hopefully things calm down in time for Sunday. But I think this is a huge game. After probably a lackluster performance last night in the Europa, we didn't speak about it actually. I know you might have mentioned it on Monday night, but you know Dean Henderson has one of those games last Saturday night, and then last night the 20 keeper has another one of those games, and you're kind of going, we haven't been as clinical as we need to be, but we can't keep bumping into keepers every week that are having worldies either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I said to Mark on Monday night, we both experienced it at the Palace game when he played us at Anfield. Henderson was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he sure was. He had a big performance last week. And then last night, you know, we win that game only for 2 or 3 really good. Like the two saves in particular from his own men. You know, the saves that were going to be OJs. Like the first half was ridiculous. He claws that out of the top corner. And then there's one very, very late on and stuff. Joanne, I would take 2-0. I would take your hand off at that, if I'm honest. I would absolutely take your hand off. I'll go 2-1 United, but I'd be happy with a 1-0 even. Yeah.
Yeah. This could be a game. This could be a game that could have a lot in it as well. You know, both teams. This could potentially be another basketball job, couldn't
it? I don't think so. I don't think we've gotten into that so far yet this season. Do you know what I mean? We've been much tighter. We've stopped conceding as many shots as we were. you know, and I think obviously we look a lot tighter at the back. I think the Ligt has looked very, very good for us. I think even not having him in last night and having Maguire in made us a little more susceptible at times. And I think it's only when you see a team play without a guy, you realise what you're getting from that guy in particular. And I think last night I looked at it and I said, listen, Maguire's done okay. He hasn't really put a foot wrong, but we look a much more solid side with the Ligt in it, you know.
Very good. I was talking to Ben when he came out from work today. He's working with a guy doing emergency doors at the moment, and the guy has 4 season tickets for Anfield. And I said to Ben, "Did you get his number, Ben? Come on, now. Tell me you got his number now." But he's working with him again tomorrow, so he's going to get all his detail and see what we can do there. Hopefully, enjoy the game, Darren. Smash them up.
Thanks, Morris.
3-0 Spurs. Daz reckons.
Daz, don't do it to me, will you, pal?
And bonkers. Bournemouth 2, Southampton 1. Joanne's gone 3-1 as well. Rounded out Monday night. Bournemouth versus Southampton.
Yeah, Bournemouth 3-1.
Yeah, I think so as well. Bournemouth are doing everything bar scoring at times, aren't they? Like their football is unbelievable, isn't it?
They play a really nice, tidy brand of football. They sure do. Yeah, no, I think Bournemouth over the line on Monday night in the South Coast Derby.
Yeah, you know, if anything with Bournemouth, it's just he typically plays the same every week. He just matches man for man and likes to play that expansive kind of football. And I just think at times once he comes against tougher opposition, at times maybe away from home, maybe tactically he could be a little bit more astute, as they say. Right, that's your Premier League preview, folks. So we'll get rid of that. Right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it after the weekend, but obviously our thoughts go out to Rodri on a quick recovery and a good recovery and stuff like that and all. So we never like to see top class players like this. And for me and for you, Darren, I'm sure he's the best in his position in the world. We think anyway, I would imagine. But what have you made? Let's talk about this for a minute. Obviously, Arsenal have lost Odegaard as well. Obviously, a really key player as well. What way do you think this is? This, and we don't like to talk of advantage because of player injuries and stuff like that and all, because it's not in us. But how do you see this panning out? Like if you're looking now, I know it's a small sample size so far, but.
Yeah, I think Rodri's a bigger miss for City than Odegaard is at Arsenal.
In terms of the negative effect. Yeah.
In terms of the negative effect, yeah, absolutely. I think replacing Rodri is more difficult than replacing an Odegaard. I like Odegaard. I'm a huge fan of Odegaard. He's obviously Arsenal captain. I think Arsenal have enough to get by with what they have. You know, I'm sure they'll be hoping Moreno is getting closer as well, and you know, Partey's in there and Rice is in there and stuff like that. But I think they can manage it a little bit better. You can play Trossard in as that 10 and maybe play, you know, Sterling up the middle or throw Havertz back and let him act as that kind of a 10 and stuff. But I think at Man City, like, I think, you know, and we spoke about this at the start of the season, I think there's a couple of little holes in that Man City squad. And I think this is one of them. I think, you know, at defensive midfield, without Rodri, I think they could look very open at times. I think without that security of him sitting in front of the back four and, you know, and playing that screen and stuff like that, and obviously playing on that double pivot where you're just taking the ball and pushing, and he's so comfortable in there. You know, and we talked about other positions, you know, I think they're a bit light at left back. You know, they regularly play Aki and Vardiol, who are two centre backs as the left back at the left backs. And I think again, if anything happens with Haaland, you've no striker. I think that's a huge glaring hole to have in your squad if you're Pep Guardiola. Really
we had a lot of conversations. You brought this up in the summer as well when Alvarez went. You said surely they're going to go back into the market now and spend some of that money and, you know, create that option there that's needed and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't, so they were rolling the dice. And you know, they're only potentially one or two more injuries away. There's talk of maybe Stones maybe going in there and potentially doing a job, but we know that he can get injured. You know, De Bruyne another year on now potentially as well. There's a lot of players in there at the moment.
Somewhat of an aging squad
Mm.
at City. There are players that I would look at and say, okay, they're starting to get on a little bit. Your Bernardos and your De Bruynes, and your Stones and your Walkers, and
it's starting to feel like Klopp. Starting to feel like Klopp did with Hendo and Fabinho, and didn't make those decisions.
And I think that's where obviously the Ederson thing came from in the summer, and he stayed in the end. But I think there was probably one eye on shifting an Ederson to give Ortega the spot, then shifting the next one to give someone else a spot. Like, I'll be surprised if City don't come in and do something in January. I really, really will.
My fear, I said to you the other day. My fear, I said to you the other day, is Zubimendi.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I suppose it is like for like in one sense. The only thing I would say is, if I'm Zubimendi, do I want to come in and be Rodri's understudy? Now, I'm already his understudy at Spain. Maybe I can. Maybe I don't have a say in that because, he's ahead of me and I'm behind him. Parking yourself behind him in the Manchester City squad could then have an impact on your Spanish national team as well. Because if you're not getting the game time at City and you're not playing the minutes, and then all of a sudden, somebody somewhere else starts picking up the baton and running with it, could a move to City end up pushing them further down the pecking order rather than higher?
I suppose when I'm looking at it, the one thing that's glaring to me, when Virgil went out with his ACL, he came back and it took him a year to find himself again. And I think with Rodri, it'd be kind of naive of us, wouldn't it, to assume that he's just going to go out for this season, rock up next August and be ready to go 50 games. It just
especially with how robust he is and how physical he is about the pitch. He plays a very, very physical game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of twisting, turning, rotation. There's a lot of that. I will be shocked if we don't find him caught a lot more square over when he returns and stuff like that. Because obviously you've got to build up a level of confidence in that turning and that twisting and rotation.
Same as Van Dijk. Remember how many times was Van Dijk caught in the turn that year?
And that's going to be it, until you until you've gotten back on the horse and you've gone, all right, I'm okay again. I can keep going, but.
So does that cement your case then for Zubimendi doing a 50-50 split on the fixtures? To ease Rodri back in?
You see, you don't know whether Rodri wants to ease himself back in as well. Like, I don't imagine he's a guy who's going to be overly happy sitting on a bench for half of the games because Pep needs to give game time to the guy he brought in to replace him while he was injured. Do you know what I mean?
But isn't that a case where you have to have a strong enough manager there to protect the player from himself?
It is, but I mean, I would say when you talk about Van Dijk, he played himself back to form. And you possibly don't get that if you don't get that run in the team where you can build a momentum of making a mistake, but knowing you're still starting the next game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't generally like to see a player have a bad game, make a mistake, and be taken out of it completely, because I think, how do they build their confidence back up that way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. As you said, I don't know whether it would be a confidence thing with Rodri. He's extremely confident in his ability. It might be a case that maybe, as you said, there could be a stiffness there, a turning issue, a twisting issue, something that takes time to re-oil the machine, basically, if you like, But, and then, of course, they have to get into this situation. They have to get into this situation, as you said, with this aging squad, where they have to start planning for life without De Bruyne, without Kyle Walker, without some of these guys,
I think that's the bigger one. I think that's where they need to start, get the wheels in motion here. You're not going to be able to make 5 changes at a time. So it's got to be 1 to 2 to 3 players every window. Because we know obviously January is not going to be a big window for most teams. It's a 1-player window if you're lucky. So that means when you get to the summer, you've got to be up. If you're only doing 1 in January, you need to be doing 2 to 3 in the summer, and then another 1, and then another 2 to 3 because of the rollover you need.
Yeah. The other thing I would say as well is, obviously coming into next summer and whatever their plans are, they need to get this 115 charges sorted, done and dusted, and put behind them one way or another. Because obviously players might look at that as well. And I don't know whether anyone wants to go there thinking that that's still hanging over them, that you could have a relegation or a championship situation or something like that,
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect it to be sorted by then.
Yeah, should be.
I don't think it's good publicity for anyone for this to carry on longer than it needs to.
Yeah, you just know yourself. This could be tangled up in 3 years of appeals and all sorts of legal jargon and all. You know what I mean? So
just a quick update from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The goal scorer, Brennan Johnson, has just gone off at half time. He's being replaced by Dejan Kulishevsky. And looks like he's gonna probably sit in a little bit here and then bring the pacey Kulishevsky on for the break as the outlet. Yeah, that's what it looks like now. They did look a little bit susceptible in the first half to pace, but Tottenham didn't have a lot. Johnson's a nice, tidy player, but he's not blistering pace-wise. And I think they'll just look to try and get Kulishevsky in behind a little bit more for those cutbacks for Dominic Solanke and for
Kulishevsky as well. He's more physical as well in terms of hanging on to things and hanging on to the ball. Whereas Brendan Johnson's more he's kind of more slick and skillful, but not as strong. But yeah, it was interesting. I just wanted to look at this because I think it's sad to see these two fabulous players not being able to watch them and how important they are to both their clubs. So it's mad.
Yeah,
especially, isn't it, when we spoke? I mean, how many years have we been talking about player welfare now and all that kind of stuff? And it's just
the problem is we've kept talking about it, but nothing's happened from the other side of things.
Yeah,
it's no good guys like you and me sitting here discussing it and it not getting any further along the road. The can just getting kicked down for the players. And something's got to change here. We can't keep being robbed of the best players in the world because of this burnout and because they're playing too many games, in the wrong types of conditions and stuff like that. And it's not a good recipe.
Remember in the early days when Klopp used to talk about it, and you'd have rival fan bases throwing their eyes up to heaven going, here he is beating this drum again. And now we see it with these players, the amount of ACLs and ankles and all sorts of stuff that's happening now, it's catching up big time.
Absolutely.
Now let's start round 4 draw for the Carabao Cup. Reflect on the last 2 nights. Just give me 1 second. I have to let the gaffer out.
Yeah, the mascot wants to have a wander. I suppose looking at the draw there, obviously the toy of the round is going to be Spurs and Man City. That's your toy of the round. But I mean, lots of good toys there. If we go through them very quickly, like I expect Brentford to go through in the top one. Again, I'll just stick with the Premier League teams. I'll go Southampton. I think Spurs and City could be a good game. You might see penalties or something like that and that. But again, I think City will go over the line. I think Newcastle will go through against Wimbledon, and I think they'll go out to Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think United will go through with Leicester. I think Liverpool will go through, albeit not easily, against Brighton. I think Arsenal will go through at Preston, and I think Villa will go through at home against Palace. So no real surprises or shocks from my end of it.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. It'll be interesting. Again, it just depends. At that stage, have they picked up more injuries? We've an international break and all this kind of stuff, and that's the worrying thing. I don't know about you, but when we go off an international breaks, I always track my own players to see if there's any because it's just such fine margins now at the moment when you lose players. But definitely an interesting draw last night and stuff like that. And we can see now, looking at this draw, is exactly what we spoke about in the last draw in the last round, isn't it? How they configured it to make sure the top dogs are all in there, really, so keeping them away from each other till now, But yeah, tougher on the lesser teams, let's say. Right, Europa. Let's talk. Give me your thoughts on United last night against 20.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a great performance by any stretch of the imagination. I felt like we did enough to win the game. But even in win the game, it wouldn't have been, a great performance. It would have just been getting over the line. I think at times when you make a couple of little changes, I obviously he took Garnacho out, he put Rashford back in, and he had he took Mainu out and stuff like that, and he took the lift out. And 3 or 4 changes, you just lose the rhythm ever so slightly, you know. So yeah, I'll be looking to get that back obviously on Sunday against Spurs. Be looking to just kick on and pick up 3 points. There's a lot of games to be played in this Europa, so I'm certainly not worried or anything like that at this stage of the game. If we're not in the top kind of 8 spots come the 4th game, after the 4th game before the 5th, I'll start looking at it then and see what needs to be done. But for now, it's in its infancy, this one, and it's not anything we need to stress about just yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose the alarming one for me was the Porto result, getting beaten 3-2. And I think we identified the Porto away game as potentially being an interesting game for you when we looked at the fixtures. But maybe Porto, I don't know last night. I don't know if they played a kind of a changed squad or what it was, but that was one of the results that stuck out to me going, oh, well, that's an interesting one now, you know, Porto getting beaten 3-2.
It wasn't massively changed. I think one of the things is they've lost a couple of players from the summer. And that's having a little bit more of an impact. You know, obviously the boy Samu has come in. He's the boy who was linked very, very heavily with Chelsea, and the deal looked like it was being done as a part of the Conor Gallagher deal. He actually got a goal last night, and he got 2 at the weekend. So he's in good form. He got a goal in the game before that. So he's got 4 goals in his last 3 games for Sporting. But I think, for Porto. But I think they've just sold off one too many crown jewels at the minute, Porto, and it just means that they're not quite where they were. You know, they'll be a decent side, but they won't be what they were coming into maybe last season and stuff like that, where you were looking at maybe an Evan Nilsson and stuff like that. He's obviously left the deal and he's headed up at Bournemouth. So yeah, there's a couple of changes that squad that's making life difficult for them.
Oh, the mascots are uneasy tonight. Acer's in there, turned around. Ten Hag's comments last night were absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you one thing. He came out last night and he took responsibility. And that must have been encouraging for United fans, because that hasn't happened in previous.
Absolutely. There is a goal here for Tottenham Hotspur. It's a ball in from Kulusevski from a corner, and the keeper goes up at one of the Spurs lads to get it, and neither of them quite get it, and it falls at the feet of Pape Maté Sarr, and he volleys it into an empty net at the back stick.
That's quite a bag now. Ruining those chances they missed first half.
Absolutely, we spoke about it. Like they created opportunities. Now, listen, by no stretch of the imagination is this game over, and I think probably, you know, Tottenham need to be very, very careful here, because obviously if they sit back too much here and invite pressure on with 10 men, we've seen what happens last week. You know, keeper gets a little touch on it. It's poor from the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper goes up, goes to fist it, and it just skims his glove, and it gets to the back stick. And as it gets to the back stick, Sarr just little volleyed into the goal. So it's good. It's a good goal for Spurs, obviously.
Interesting, yeah. Interesting. I know there's Europa going on tonight as well, folks. So the table that's there was the table as of last night's fixtures, not tonight's. Obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
So that will continue to change. What did you make of this? Obviously, the Premier League as well, coming out spending, I think, what was it, 45 million?
Six times what they had budgeted for. Is what I read, which is kind of nuts. Unless, you know, the guys who were doing costings didn't really look down the barrel of what was facing up at Manchester City and stuff. But I mean, I don't think the league are going to be in any trouble. There's certainly money there, and if it gets to a stage where there has to be a levy brought in for legal fees because of these sort of challenges, the clubs are going to have to foot the bill eventually, aren't they?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of the City arbitration, because if they win that arbitration, they might have a case to go to the Premier League in relation to how those decisions, if ruled in their favour, affected them. And there might be an issue there. And then obviously we have the knock-on effect, although it's not exclusively linked to the 115, certainly it would have some sort of a knock-on effect, you know.
Maybe. I'm not so sure City will go down the route of, you know, going after the Premier League. I think if they were able to get this over the line and kind of, and, you know, get rid of these charges, so to speak, I think they'd take that and they'd run with it. I don't think they'd bother waiting around too long to stretch this out for something to come out then down the road.
You mean use the win on the arbitration as a bargaining chip in relation to the 115 somehow?
Yeah, is that a penalty?
It is, yeah.
Penalty's just been awarded.
Yeah. Who was the defender, did you say?
It's Yves Bissouma.
Oh, interesting.
It's Yves Bissouma. Now, I'm assuming they're going to have a look at it. Upon first reflection, I didn't think it was a penalty. And to be honest with you, let's see that again. I think that's really harsh.
Yeah. He picked up a booking as well.
I think that's really, really harsh, man. Have they looked at that? And have we got VAR here? We would have VAR. Right?
In the Europa, yeah, you would, yeah. Definitely, sure. It's at Tottenham as well, 100%.
That's a bit of a stretch for me now. I've got to be honest here.
It's going to be an interesting 30 minutes coming up.
Well, I just spoke about it. You know, sometimes the going 2 up and then trying to sit back on this it's going to make life very, very difficult for them, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This isn't penalty check. Hang on, VAR coming in.
You think it could be overturned?
No, he's putting the ball on the spot. It says VAR penalty check in the left-hand corner.
Penalty stands.
Yeah. You're just hoping Vicario can do something here now, can't you? You know, that's got to be where you want to go with this. Is can he get over the line here?
Penalty saved.
Did he save it?
Looks like it.
Oh, I'm obviously a little bit further behind. Oh, he's hit it over the crossbar. He's blazed it over the crossbar.
There you go.
He hasn't saved it, but it's probably going past me window about now. Like, this is horrific.
Give Brody a shout. Tell him there's a free ball landing in the back garden shortly.
Did he punt that? Hold on. Hang on. Oh. So Tottenham trying to create their own downfall here. Tottenham get through the penalty, yeah, and decide to play the ball out short from the back. Vicario plays the ball out to the feet of one of the centre backs, probably Van de Ven, and straight away they cough the ball up, and Karabakh have another chance to score. Is this 3-0? Oh, good save. And Karabakh have a chance to score, and Vicario saves, and Spurs go the full length of the pitch, and Dominic Solanke just has an effort to stop, saved by the goalkeeper. And that was to wrap it up at 3-0.
Interesting. You got your Madrid derby on Sunday night as well. Are you coming home Sunday or Monday? Sunday?
No, Monday.
Then you got your Madrid derby then that evening. Acers are saying Mbappe out for 3 weeks.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, terrible altogether. I purposely didn't change this slide, and I'm only thinking about it now. We had a bit of fun there during the week on WhatsApp. Let's talk about one Rafael Varane.
Do you need me to send you any pictures?
Because I can't put them on anyway at this stage.
Okay.
But we had a good laugh about it and stuff like that and all, wasn't it? It was good fun, like so. And I knew the one I selected was going to trigger a few years for the crack.
Yeah, listen, it's a sad way to end for a guy like Raphael Varane. He's obviously 31 years of age, still very, very young, and had to just pack it in at this stage because the body just has no more to give, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate, but I mean, what a career. What a career. What hasn't the guy won?
Yeah.
He's got an FA Cup. He's got a Carabao Cup. He's got Champions League, Copa del Rey's. He's got World Cups. He's got European Championships. He's got everything. He's won.
World Club, Super Cup.
He's won everything. He's just, trophies seem to follow him around everywhere he went. Really, really, really highly thought of. But a very, very sad way to see him end,
I often wonder what might have been at United if he had been able to stay fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've heard for a long time, especially United, Alex Ferguson would say goals win your games, but clean sheets win your championships, and we weren't able to do that with what was going on. And and obviously with Varane and not staying fit, it made life very, very difficult for us at the back and stuff like that. We had two really good players in Varane and Martinez who just struggled to stay fit. Yeah. Martinez has been the better of the two, obviously, for staying fit. But even that's a stretch. I mean, I still think you'd have probably brought in De Ligt and Lenny Yoro with the idea that they'll be the pairing because Martinez won't be fit enough to play 40 to 50 games a season.
Or maybe they're doing a left back contingency there in relation to Shaw.
Yeah, obviously you have Martinez who's an option at left back then, isn't it? Which isn't a bad idea, although I don't necessarily think, if you're looking at left backs, Martinez is going to be the kind of guy who's going up and down the wing and putting balls in boxes and stuff like that. So you'd have to be careful about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Will we take a few bets?
Sure, listen. Let's. So I'll tell you my bet that I had tonight so far, yeah?
Yeah.
So, and this is why this Tottenham game is so important. I had
why you were focusing on it so much.
I had result and both to score in the Roma Athletic Bilbao game, and I had it as a draw, and the game finished 1-1.
Okay.
So that's number one on my betting slip. The second result is Spurs and both to score, which after the red card after 8 minutes is difficult. But they've got two, and now obviously Karabag had a chance to score and have just missed a penalty. Now my third one has ended things because I had got Eintracht Frankfurt and both to score. They were 3-0 up to Victoria Pilsen, and Pilsen made it 3-2 in the 87th minute and made it 3-3 in the 93rd.
Jesus.
With the last kick of the game.
Janie Mac.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's call it what we have for the weekend.
Yeah. Which one are you starting with first?
I am gonna go with my result and bout to score.
Lovely.
30-1. Nice and easy. Nothing major. Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Bournemouth. All three teams to win. Both teams to score. 30-1.
Nice. I picked 3 for my one, and mine's 50-1.
Right.
I went with Newcastle.
Okay.
And both to score against Man City. I went with Chelsea, as you did, I think.
Yeah.
And both to score. And I went with Liverpool and Wolves. And you kind of called it. You said Liverpool by a tight 2-1.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Absolutely.
And that gives you 50-1. Those 3.
I think the Newcastle one is obviously the stretch, but
yeah,
it's not impossible. Nothing is in the league.
That alone is 6-1.
Yeah.
So that brings it up.
Number 2, I've gone to score or assist.
Okay.
And I just have 3, but because 2 of them are against 2 of the bigger sides, it bumps the odds a little bit. To score or assist, 30-1 for a treble.
Nice.
Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
Against City. I think he's in great form. Really, really good form, Anthony Gordon. Really like the kid as a player.
William spoke about him last night. William was doing some scouting at the Ireland game, and he was very impressed. Ireland against England. Yeah. And he was very impressed with Anthony Gordon. He was talking about him last night on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one is Chris Wood. He's in a good, rich vein of form for Notts Forest. He's the kind of focal point at that. It's a great save by the boy Vicario at the near stick, big left hand down. And that's the lad Juninho who missed the penalty and missed the sitter in the first half. He's had a really good effort there, and Vicario saved it well down the post. And Chris Wood is my second one, goal or assist.
Yeah.
He takes the penalties as well. And then my other swerve ball ever so slightly is Matheus Cunha at Wolves.
Got one last week.
Liverpool. Got one last week. He is absolutely blistering pace. And I think if you guys are susceptible ever so slightly, it's when guys get in behind. And I think he's the kind of guy that could trouble you slightly. So I've gone Matheus Cunha, Anthony Gordon and Chris Wood. Goal or assist, 30-1 treble.
Yeah, I did 4 just to score any time. Yes. And it's 45-1.
Right.
I did Kai Havertz for Arsenal against Leicester.
They're home against Leicester, yeah.
Yeah, I did Cole Palmer for Chelsea against Brighton. Because I think that could set up in a way where the Brighton defence could be focusing a lot on the likes of Jackson and that, and they might take their eye off the ball at Cole Palmer. So I was thinking that might be the way.
And hat-trick scoring Nick Christopher Nkunku from during the week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I went with your boy off Crystal Palace against Everton, SA. You mentioned them in the preview there. And the one I kind of gave away in our preview as well, Diogo Jota to score against his old side.
Yeah.
4 of those, 45-1.
Nothing wrong with that, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got one more for you. It's my last one. It's me 3 cards. Do you remember what price me 3 cards were a couple of weeks ago?
40-1.
Guess what price they are tonight?
40-1.
Correct and right.
Nice.
We have one Carlos Baleba. Play centre midfield for Brighton. They're going to have a tough day at the office against Chelsea, obviously, and you've got Enzo and you've got Caicedo and stuff like that. The boy Baleba is quite a nice little player. He's very tidy, but he's very combative. I think he might get one. Number 2 is Ipswich will have a tough game on the weekend, and I've gone for Sam Morsey. He plays in centre midfield for Ipswich as well. Likes a tackle, likes a card. He's probably going to go up against Amadou Onana.
Is that the guy who scored the equaliser last week?
The guy who got the equaliser last week, yes, it is. Very combative kind of midfielder, and I think he'll possibly pick one up. And then a guy who I don't think I've done him in a player to be carded, but I should have, because he gets a lot of cards, and I think Saturday is set up for this guy, and this is one Dan Byrne. I think Dan loves a good tackle, loves a bit of RG, loves when the big teams come to town.
Loves an early jersey swap.
Right, so I'm gonna go Baleba, Morsey, and Byrne, and that's 40-1.
Interesting. I picked out 4 to be shown a card, and it's 170-1.
Right.
And it's not the stretch you might think. So I started off with
3-0 Dominic Solanke.
Very good. He's finding his boots now, isn't he?
He's getting his boots on, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was unlucky not to score a couple of minutes ago, and the keeper made a really, really good save from him. And he does obviously make it 3-0. There's a ball down the left-hand side, and it's just put in behind. Now that's going to be tight. Who does that go to? Goes to Sar to Kulusevski to the keeper. Kulusevski gives the ball to Son, and Son goes to bend one to the far stick, and he puts it right into the keeper's lap. and the keeper spills it in front of himself. And like any good striker, Dominic Solanke is backing it up and empties it into the empty net. It's an awful attempt. If my 9-year-old coughs that up at the weekend, he's getting tied to the car and dragged home. But anyway, that's shocking from an international goalkeeper.
Yeah. What you make of Son's interview yesterday, saying that there's been no contract talks with Spurs?
Right, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he mentioned it yesterday. I think he mentioned it yesterday when he was being interviewed about the game tonight or something like that, and he mentioned it.
He's actually down on the ground, injured at the minute, getting treatments, which would be a huge plus for us on Sunday if Son wasn't involved. He's kind of hobbling off towards the sideline, and he's taking the captain's armband off. He looks like he could be. Yeah, there you go. Ace come in. He looks like he's getting taken off with an injury. This is a double-edged sword here for me. Obviously, if Son doesn't play on Sunday, it will increase our chances of winning the game. However, I happen to know my youngest son is a huge Son fan. Loves him. Obviously plays the game in the right kind of manner with a smile on his face, and there's a lot of kids out there that really, really like the guy. So I'm sure Browdy'd like to see him on Sunday, but I'd be okay if he doesn't play. I'd be fine.
It's a results-driven business, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it. You know,
kids will learn that over time. Well,
I might have to wake him in the morning and go, guess what? There's good news. Son got injured last night, and he'd be like, Dad.
Yeah, I'm not going that.
Yeah.
If Tottenham beat United, Ten Hag should resign immediately.
Right. Well, it must happen, Jerry, because you've said it. Like, I mean, what else would there be?
Oh, he was in earlier with Bruno Fernandes has to be dropped.
Oh, God.
A lot of hot takes tonight, all right. I'll give you my 4 for this player to be shown a card. 170 to 1. I started off with Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle versus Man City. That's going to be a feisty midfield in there, especially on the back of the Rodri situation. I went with Thomas Partey off Arsenal against Leicester.
Right.
Nice prices. Yeah. I whipped your boy off you, Nelson Semedo. Yeah. You had him in your treble that came up, remember? Or your 4 or whatever it was. Wasn't he in that? I
don't think I did.
I thought he was one of the ones you had in it, no?
No, I think it was one of the Wolves boys, but I don't think it was Semedo.
I thought it was Semedo you had in there. Maybe I'm wrong.
Power of by the power
Apple
of television, I can tell you exactly who it was.
And I was gonna whip your other boy if he was back this week as well at Forest.
So it was Tim Eric-Boonham, it was Jack Stevens and Marco Senesi. There was no.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I thought it was Semedo for some reason, but I put him in anyway. And then I rounded it out with Chelsea, Mark Cucurella, another guy who tends to like an early jersey swap against Brighton.
Yeah, and he'll more than likely, being the Chelsea left back, go up against the boy Simon Adingra, who's a really, really tidy footballer there at Brighton. Brighton's still doing a really good job of their recruitment. A lot of players there at Brighton. Obviously, the boy Believe they brought in looks a good talent. The boy Minta that they took from Newcastle looks a really tidy player. Adingra looks very, very good as well. And possibly, dare I say it, I'm gonna just look at this so I make sure I get his name right. I know I spoke about this guy last week or the week before, and I'd be shocked if we don't see Jan-Paul van Hecke.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely... He got the assist last week for the Jack Hinselwood header. I don't know whether you were watching the game. Hinselwood, probably the smallest player on the pitch, and he came in between two of the Forest centre-backs and was about 4 feet off the ground and looped the header into the top corner. It was phenomenal. But Van Hecke put the ball into the box from it. It was a great ball. But also, defensively, he has been superb for Brighton. Absolutely superb. Like, you look at Lewis Dunk on one side and you kind of think they might fall down on the opposite side. I've got to say, I'm looking at Van Hecke's side now, Van Hecke, and I'm looking at Dunk on. Jeez, Dunk could be in trouble here. you know, because he's been so good.
And just check what he sent. What did you send it on, Daz? Daz said he said, show Daz what he sent. Let's see, where'd you send it? On Twitter, is it?
Or is it on the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. You know what? We might have got something up here a second ago. That singer likes our video. Hang on. He might have sent it onto
Facebook.
Yeah. Show Dazzler, I sent that, Niall. He's got Liverpool.
Is it this?
Got Liverpool 4-1. Yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool 4-1.
Yeah. Both teams to score, is it? United 9-2, Newcastle 4-1. Dazzler, and you guess? Oh, are these goal scorers?
They must be goal scorers, yeah, like what Ted does.
Yeah, okay. Liverpool 4-1. This must be any time rather than.
I'd say they're all any times, not first.
Right, so 4-1. Jesus. I reckon with Man United, you've gone with De Ligt because Spurs are a bit susceptible to corners. I reckon at Newcastle, you've gone Anthony Gordon. And I reckon at Liverpool 4-1, it must be someone. You've gone Trent.
Interesting.
Trent, De Ligt, and Gordon. That's me. That's where I've gone.
Let us know in the chat, Daz. Who is it? Update us in the chat. Who would you be there?
Close.
Anthony Gordon 9-2. That's who you're thinking, is it?
No, Anthony Gordon 4-1. United 9-2 would probably be De Ligt, and then Liverpool 4-1 would be.
Oh, sorry, 4-1. Yeah.
Would be Trent probably.
Yeah, I got the bet. Daz, tell us who is it? Who did you pick? Who are the goal scorers? See if we got them. Assuming it's a goal scorer, but
I think that is. That's what it looks like.
You were pretty close. 2 out of 3.
Oh, look at
2 out of 3. You did well. Tell you.
Gordon, De Ligt, and Jota. I've done all right there, haven't I?
I tell you, with that kind of guessing, it might be worth you throwing a tenner on that. I'm telling you now, because if you have to after getting 2 out of 3, it's not bad.
I've done well.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose so. I go for Jota as well because you're going back to Wolves. That's all. It's just a connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does happen.
I was going to say, how often that happens as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, that's it. Another show in the bag. You're going to enjoy your trip over, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
1% left on the iPad.
Couldn't time it any better, could I? Folks, if you can, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. I will have a Wolves preview out tomorrow. Darren's heading off to the Spurs game, so no doubt he'll update us from there.
We have, what have we got? We've myself, Uncle Gay, we have Andrew, Brody, and we have a special surprise guest. Tiernan doesn't know he's going yet. I hope he's not watching.
Hopefully not.
If he's watching, if he pings me a message in a minute and goes, I'm after been watching, I'll be like, shit. He doesn't know yet. He doesn't know. So we're gonna break
I doubt it he's watching.
He sneaks into the chat every now and again.
Oh, does
yeah, he does.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll have to. I hope he's not watching. I think we're gonna spring it on him tomorrow because we had a little bit of trouble with one of the tickets today.
You were saying, yeah.
So I wanna make sure that I get his one downloaded tomorrow and stuff like that in the wallet and everything. So we're hunky dory, but yeah, we'll let you know how we get on anyway.
What night is the wrestling show next week? It'll probably be back to the Wednesday.
Carabag have just scored. So
it was Eintracht that let you down on the bet?
Well, it looks like it's Eintracht Frankfurt that have let me down.
What was the odds? What was the return on?
33 to 1. It was paying 340 quid.
That would have been lovely for going away on Sunday. That would have been lovely, unfortunately.
Are they keeping it? Oh, they've chalked it off by the looks of it.
They can't catch a break tonight, sure they can't.
And you know who it was? It was the guy that missed the penalty and missed the sitter in the first half, and the one who saved. Like, this guy's throwing muck at this, and it just won't stick for him. God bless him. Juninho, Brazilian.
You'll get a laugh out of this. You'll get a laugh out of that. Carry bag.
No.
Carry bag. Right. I love you. Leave you. Talk to you tomorrow at some stage.
Take it easy.
Cheers, folks. Appreciate you tuning in.